So I'm down at Roche Abbey again. I've just been into the English Heritage Centre and asked whether I could come in and film inside and bang it on YouTube. And I've got to make enquiries first. Now I could have actually videoed it and had it on YouTube, but there's no guarantee that my channel won't be making money in the future. So at that point it makes it a bit difficult, but I can still do the video just as well on the outside as the inside. I'm on a public right of way. So now we've been told things about the Abbey in the past and I'm not so sure about things now. One of the things is Capability Brown actually landscaped this area, and if you look at these outer walls and then these pillars, what we're seeing at the moment is all that's coming out of the ground. But if those pillars went down, say another 10-15 foot into the ground, and same with these outer walls, I've assumed that was all that was left of the walls, but same again, if those walls go down 10 or 15 foot, my theory actually on the river, not actually running through this site originally, and that's been something that Capability Brown's done when he's remodelled it all, will fit in, because if the river is actually running through the site and the water, and it was actually higher than the level of the ground actually inside here, the water would seep in to the actual site itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go around to where the river is. Same again, it's on a public access again, and I can actually show you what I mean by that. But when I spoke to the girl, she's saying that in the English Heritage, she's saying that the river's always run through that site, and I say, well, that's hearsay, isn't it? And I think a lot of this is hearsay, to tell you the truth. But one thing she said is some of the historical stuff's been moved around. Wouldn't surprise me. So I'll go down to where the river is now and actually show you the river and what I mean by that. And I think that was actually an inner corridor in part of Roch Abbey at one bit. But if you just see, this is Roch Abbey that we know it as, but it stretches back about a quarter of a mile or more, and then it goes under the actually buried part of Roch Abbey, actually under the lake at the back. I'm not saying the actual abbey itself, but the outer buildings as well. So I'm going to do this in stages and let you know. So just imagine that wall, you've seen probably a foot or two, but originally, before it was actually filled in, there was 10-15 foot standing out before you got down to the actual base floor. So this is a different angle of Roch Abbey, and if you actually look up there, see some where some steps would have been. And it's interesting what somebody's just been saying to me. I got chatting to somebody for some time, and what they said is they wondered how they built these places, and they said they wondered if giants were involved, and that's not as crazy as it sounds, because there's just been another discovery of a giant. So you wonder whether some of these buildings, they had a little bit of help to actually build them. They're so unbelievable. I mean, we don't know the full height of the place. Can only guess that it went a bit higher than that. Could have been another level above that and another level above that, because most of the history that we're getting on these places is hearsay. But I'm going to pop round to the river now and do a video down at the river. So I'm now down at the river, and now it makes me wonder if at one bit this was actually a corridor rather than actually a river, and the river's actually being diverted through here by Capability Brown. Now, if the rest of the site is 10 foot lower, or drops 10 foot lower into the ground, as I think, the pillars and the walls, then the river would actually be above the level of the base of the building, which that wouldn't be very good, because there'd be water seepage into the actual building itself. Like for example, is this the original wall, or was this added by Capability Brown? And then if I zoom right in over here, there's like a walkway over there, but they're also supporting walls. So just imagine this is a corridor here, and then we've got a tunnel here. But it gives you an idea. And we've got other entrance ways. There. But I'm now going to pop up to where the stairs are and the actual tunnel I've found, and give you a view on that as well. But where you see that, like an archway, the wall went above it, but there's also one directly perpendicular to it. If you can imagine the right hand wall a bit further along, there's the same thing like that, but it's actually blocked off. Now the water wouldn't have gone the opposite direction, so I think that you walk under there and then you walk through another doorway perpendicular to it, but you've got to be on the middle of the site to actually do that, to actually show that. Like I said, I think that was originally a walkway, and if you go further in there's more sort of walkways along. So I think Capability Brown's actually changed the layout of this site to deceive people. This is the back side of Roch Abbey, and I'm actually walking about a quarter mile up here now to the actual waterfall and the tunnel. So I'm now stood at the waterfall, and that comes down from the lake above, and I'm just going to try and show you the main tower for Roch Abbey is right over there through the trees, so it's quite some distance. And what we're told is that Capability Brown hid some of the other buildings actually external to the monastery, actually under this lake. I'll show you the lake as we get above here. So when I see these stones and I ponder whether monks once walked across them, they didn't, because these were put in by Capability Brown. But Capability Brown doesn't sound like a person's name. It's supposed to be a person who did it all, but Capability Brown sounds a lot more like a project. And if you hear about Capability Brown, he was doing this over probably 100, 200 sites across the UK or even more. So we're actually covering over historical evidence from the past. If you go to Chatsworth or any of the great houses, there were big communities of people, and what they did is, like the land clearances in the Scottish Islands, they pushed people off the land and into the actual towns to start the Industrial Revolution. One theory I've come across from somebody else is that they're actually already steel smelting in monasteries, and that's why they closed them down. They didn't want the Industrial Revolution to start too early, because if the Industrial Revolution had started like when they dissolved the monasteries, we'd be way ahead now, even now. So they put back the Industrial Revolution 300 years probably until they could control the Industrial Revolution. I mean, at the moment we have artificial intelligence in, but how long has the artificial intelligence been available? And is it a case that they had to get it so highly developed first before they actually started to try and control us with it? Because if they'd actually announced they got artificial intelligence, etc., we'd have objected to it. But if they've been doing it for say 50 years, 100 years in the background, and then suddenly they decide to unveil that plan, they're way ahead of the game and we're asleep. So the next stage is to go and find the steps but I'll show you the lake on the way. So I'm now at the lake above. So this lake is covering some real history over. I mean, I believe that the whole site should be completely dug over to find out what's actually down there. So whatever this is covering it, they're actually burying history. So this might be historical, but there's far deeper history that belongs to the English people below this, back down to the medieval ages. I've just walked only a small way from the lake down a little bit of a footpath, and I only found it yesterday after somebody mentioned it, so it's not hard to find if you're looking for it. So you can see some stairs down. The overflow from the lake above is coming down here. And then there's the entranceway I found yesterday. It was quite dark yesterday, not much light. But the problem I've got is I need a better torch. There's some like rubble in the bottom. Well, it looks like, in fact, I haven't got a clue whether it's sand or rock or what. But to me it looks like once you get over that little bit that you can get further down there, but without a bright torch I don't want to go down any further at the moment. But if there's anybody out there who's got the equipment to get in somewhere like this, but I'm still trying to work out, is this a sluice gate that was built by Capability Brown for the lake above, or is it one of the tunnels that they talk about going out to St John's at Fropham or Lawton on Lamorthen Church, or has it got another purpose that we're unaware of? But I think we're standing on some real history here and we need some archaeological digs. But if Capability Brown trying to cover over the history, the Earl of Scarborough owns this site and rents it out to the English heritage, it's going to be in their history not to allow the common people like us to know our history. So that's just a quick view of Roch Abbey. I'm probably, like I said, about a quarter mile away from the main buildings. So was this the periphery of the Abbey site, or is it still an internal wall to the Abbey site? I don't know. So I'm sure the mystery will get uncovered with time, because it's a case of just digging deeper and down. So that's over and out from me.